Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe vom SE Talk. Und heute habe ich eine ganz interessante Company, Nearterm-Produzenten, Kupfer, genau das, was wir eigentlich suchen. Neben mir sitzt der CEO und Präsident Giulio Bonifacio. Bonifacio. Mein Italienisch ist ganz schlecht. He is CEO and President of Nevada Copper, and Nevada Copper has a pretty good run in the last few months. Not really last year like nearly every company, but your company is really now on the edge to production. You have everything what you need to go into production. But maybe you can give us a small description what you have, what you will do in the next few months, and next 6 to 9 months, and what's really happened in the company.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe. It's a very big project. It's located in Nevada. As background, I founded the company in 2005, and we have grown this project, this asset, to what is of significant size. It's very well located. There's no particular risk that's a concern based on the location. We've got infrastructure. It is a project that we are actually in construction on. Stage 1 will be in production by the latter part of 2015. Commercial production by 2016. We're fully permitted to build it. We're currently in the build phase. If you go to our project website, you'll see good photos as it relates to the production size head frame, production size hoist, surface facilities. And we're also sinking a 2,000-foot shaft, let's say about a 600-meter-foot shaft, and we're almost 40% complete on that, and we expect to have that done by the end of the year. The reserve, and this is very important in terms of the global, let's go back one step in terms of the global resources. We've got over 10 billion pounds. That's not including the gold and the silver, but the proven and probable reserves, and that's on the back of very detailed, orientated engineering studies, feasibility studies, if you will, 43-101 compliant. We've got 5.2 billion pounds of copper, a little bit less than 1 million ounces of gold, and over 32 million ounces of silver. In addition to that, we've got a big iron resource. And so stage 1 will produce 75 million pounds of copper per year with a 15-year mine life. Stage 2, which is what we're really excited about in terms of the ultimate real size, will get us to a total of about 275 million pounds of copper, about 50,000 ounces of gold, and close to 1 million ounces of silver. And again, that does not even include the iron resource that we have. And so this is a project that, unlike many, has continued to move through the construction phase, and we've continued to advance it. Many companies, many projects are effectively have been on hold. We have had an extremely successful 2013 in terms of our ability to get permits, get the funding, and we're continuing on that trend. In terms of the share valuation, that simply gets back to what has occurred in the Canadian markets with respects to certain fund managers, and unfortunately for us, we had 3 large funds that owned over 25 million shares of Nevada Copper, and much of that has now been placed into very strong hands, and we do believe, as you can see by the recent uptrend in our share price, that will continue. But our trading range has been well above the current level. You know, if you look back on a 3 and a 5 year chart, you'll see that we were well above the $5 range for an extended period of time, but yet we're now so much farther advanced on the project than we ever have been, and we like what copper prices are trading at. We do believe that they fundamentally stay in this range and potentially a lot higher with what we see, but we have a project that is profitable at $1.20-25 copper, and at the end of the day, it's really about creating margin, creating cash flow, and using that to grow the company further. But you have a very big project, well located in Nevada, which is a preeminent mining state, and so I think that is really something that is compelling from an investor perspective. There's presentation material that you can look at, but you'll see that there's a lot of information in there that really, if you will, supports much of what I've just recently summarized for you.
Giulio, you answered the most question what I really have, but to summarize, your break-even for all costs are 2-20 by copper?
No, our operating cost is $1.25, and if you look at all-in sustaining costs, you're probably close to about $1.80, $1.90 in that range. Okay. But that's including the development costs. It gets serviced from the cash flow.
Okay, so 180 all cost in. So with this copper price, you're really in safe
We're as noted, we generate $100 million at a forward price curve. Going down to 275 copper, we will generate in the first 5 years about $100 million in EBITDA. And we only have 80 million shares outstanding, and I think that's a very key point. We have the ability, because of the project having such a high-grade profile, to look at additional debt funding sources. We can look at doing that sort of thing as opposed to raising equity. It's worth noting, I think, Joe, in that the founding group, the directors and officers, own about 14%. Within that, I'm the biggest shareholder at about 7.5%. So I'm very hesitant to raise equity at a depressed level. I personally look at the share price and still view it as well discounted to what it should be at. And there's an ability for us to move forward on a very low share count and a project on stage 1 that will generate $100 million, and on stage 2 we'll get close to $400 million on the back of a larger asset. And so really the configuration is the high-grade underground deposit on the eastern side, and then on the western side the significant endowment that we have on the open pit. But that's how you get to 5.2 billion pounds. And I will say, and I think it's worth noting, the underground deposit has not been drilled since 2010. Once we sink the shaft, we'll continue to drill it. It will get bigger. The grade will improve. Very significant grade profile. In certain areas we've drilled as high as 10%. In other areas the highest drill intercept is close to 20%, in fact. Our reserve comes in at 1.8% or thereabouts, and that's very conservative. The open pit deposit has already grown by 30%. I'm talking about the reserves now, and that's a very key point. 2P, proven and probable reserves, has grown from about 3.29 billion pounds to 4.1. That will still continue to grow with additional drilling. So there's a lot of different ways we add value. Going into production is very significant, but the ultimate economics, the reserve, will continue to rise. And I think, again, when you look at the location of the asset, you look at how far it advanced. It is a project that is going into production. There's much work to be done, but we're executing our plan as we've always said that we would.
Okay, thank you, Giulio. That was a really great introduction. Zu dem Projekt, glaube ich, braucht man nichts mehr sagen. Die Company hat jetzt eine Marktkapitalisierung von gut 180 Millionen. Das EBITDA ist in den ersten 5 Jahren bei Stage 1 mit 100 Millionen gerechnet, bei einem Kupferpreis von 2,75. Wir sind jetzt deutlich drüber. Die Company ist eigentlich viel zu billig bewertet, und wie er selber schon beschrieben hat, war letztes Jahr ein extrem erfolgreiches Jahr, außer der Aktienpreis. Der Aktienpreis ist zusammengebrochen. Der Grund war, dass 3 Fonds, die sehr große Anteile gehabt haben, verkauft haben. Die haben verkaufen müssen, denn es gar nichts anderes übrig blieb, weil nämlich der Fonds mehr oder weniger aufgelöst wurde. Und von daher haben die einfach verkaufen müssen, egal wie die Company eigentlich bewertet war. Da sieht man wieder, wie gefährlich es ist, wenn Fonds zu große Anteile haben. Die Sache ist aber vorbei, die Aktie hat sich jetzt schon gut erholt. Aber wenn man bedenkt, wo die Company eigentlich produziert, nämlich in Nevada, also relativ sicher. B, dass man eigentlich sagt, sie ist extrem billig bewertet, nach wie vor 80 Millionen. Also wie gesagt, Aktien draußen, das ist ungefähr 180 Millionen Market Cap. Bei einem EBITDA geplant im ersten Jahr von 100 Millionen, da braucht man nicht wirklich rechnen, und wir brauchen ungefähr noch 12, 18 Monate, dann ist die Company in Betrieb. Finanzierung ist gesichert, was will man mehr? Schauen Sie sich die Company an, wirklich spannend, und wir sehen uns in Kürze. Thank you for the meeting, thank you for the update, and thank you for the interview.
All right.